Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we have Victoire Marty with us. She is the talent acquisition lead over at Lemlist, based out of Paris. So yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
And thanks for having me today, James.
Yeah, of course. So how did I do with your name? Did I
You
pronounce
did
it?
you did well. I mean, I know it's not easy with French names, but you did it well.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm glad I got hopefully pretty close there. But well, so anyway, so you're the company you work for is currently Lemlist is in Paris, but you're actually from Paris, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was born and raised in Paris,
All right.
which is, I mean, if I can say, super rare.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
must say so. I don't know if I've actually met anybody that was
Mm.
born and raised in Paris. I just about everybody I know wants to either go to Paris or has been to Paris. But I don't know if I've actually met somebody born in the city. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, like Paris is such a special city, though. So yeah. I mean, nice childhood there. Growing up, as a kid in a beautiful city such as Paris, where you have like, let's say, like everything that you want, except maybe the sea and more gardens, more green. Maybe that was missing a bit in Paris. But yeah, I mean, like super childhood growing there. I grew up like in a nice neighborhood called Saint-Germain-des-Prés. It's in the six, like it's called like a bit like the intellectual area of Paris, where like famous readers, painters used to be and learn some stuff. So that's great. And in a way, like it a bit like shaped my future to be raised there, with my family.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really cool city. I haven't spent enough time there, but I did spend New Year's Eve there a
Yeah.
while ago, and I'll tell you that was a lot of fun. It was a good time. There was a lot of people out like in the streets with champagne bottles, which was
Yeah,
pretty,
exactly.
yeah.
Especially
It
on the
was,
Champs-Élysées.
yeah. So I don't know if this was. I think there was actually a lot of locals there. We were underneath the Eiffel Tower just with bottles of champagne
Okay.
drinking.
Yeah.
So this was it was
That's something
pretty.
that we
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's something that we do. Like French people go and celebrate, especially Parisian, close to the Eiffel Tower for the
Yeah.
New Year. And normally there is fireworks and stuff like that.
Yeah, it felt like I didn't because there's so many tourists in Paris that I was wondering like how authentic of an experience that was. But if I remember correctly, it was like we were surrounded by a lot of like French people too. It wasn't just like an international crowd, which was sort of cool. Um,
Mm,
yeah, yeah, but not enough time. I would like to go back. I didn't get to really experience the city like a local, you know?
yeah.
What's it like? Like I curious like the difference of experiencing as a local for a couple of days versus like really living there. Like what's the culture really like?
Mm. That's a good question. How is the culture in Paris? I mean, like I would say Parisians are always in a rush. That's for sure. More we're not morning people at all. We start like a bit late, something around 9:30 a.m. So at some point between 9 and 9 quarter to 9, like everyone is rushing in the metro, on the streets, or by bike. That's crazy. What you can get there to go to work. That's something also that we have, like Parisians living there, is that you always look up, at the buildings, the streets, it's kind of stuff, because it's always like when it's sunny, when it's raining, when it's windy, it's always different. And Paris is such a beautiful city that, I mean, like, even if you're a local, you're living there, like, you're lucky, to be there, and you still enjoy the city. For example, like I can show you, I'll send you some pictures. But where I work right now, our office is in Paris. Like, we're in the tents, which is like a really nice area, but we are like surrounded by terrace. So we have like Montmartre, we have the Eiffel Tower, we have Notre Dame to see. And that's something, like, I love having a look at,
Yeah.
like when I'm tired, let's go and see. And of course, I don't know if I may share that, but wine and cheese, it's like, it's not a joke. We do enjoy wine and cheese, and the
Yeah.
baguette, of course, But
Of course.
I mean, that's really Parisian, especially, being on terrace. I don't know, like, you came during winter, but when spring, summer. It's like really there in Paris. Everyone is in terrace, having drinks, living the life, and that's super cool to be there.
Yeah, there's so much history, right?
Yeah.
Too, as well. I mean, just like what you were just saying, where your office is located and all of the everything around you, right?
Mm.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
incredible.
I mean, like you can, so that's something that my mom taught me. I don't know if I should share that, but when we were a kid, when a door was opening from a building or so, she was like, "Okay, go run and keep the door open, and go and get inside and see what's in it, in the building." And sometimes there's like amazing like architectures, paintings, ceramics, this kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, that's a 19th century, 18th century, 17th century building, like you can see that by who, with the wood, or if it was built by someone else. Sometimes you have some little writing, on it. That's super super nice. The building where I was raised, it's a family building that we have like in the fixed. The apartment where my grand I was lucky enough to grew like close to my grandmother. She was living in the same building as me, with my grandfather, so that was super cool. And the apartment that she was living in was a Chateaubriand apartment, which is a famous French reader, like really famous. And there is a little something saying like Chateaubriand used to live there at the second floor of the building. And in Paris, it's like sometimes you're like, okay, but it's super common, to see like e-story, and we love to share the e-story, like French people. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, it's incredible. And was it with your grandmother, you would go to the museums pretty
yeah,
frequently growing up? Is
lots.
that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot. I was like really really close to my grandmother, and she used to work, in a museum. She was the director of a museum called Musée de Cluny, which is like medieval art museum in Paris, close to La Sorbonne, the famous French uni. Every Sunday morning she used to took me to the Louvre, you know, and like we do like for 1 hour, 2 hours, depending of how tired I was because I was still, a kid. A tour of a room, and she was explaining me like some stuff about the art, the movement behind it was like we started, I think that with Egypt, then we went to Romans, then medieval art, everything, and it was incredible. That's such a cherished memory that I have with her.
Yeah, that sounds really special. So she actually was the director at the Medieval Art Museum
Yeah,
in Paris, which is
yeah, exactly. Mm.
that's pretty cool. So did you spend a lot of time there as well?
I do. But
Yeah,
I did
when you
actually,
were
not now
growing up.
anymore, but yeah, I
Yeah.
did. I did with her. And she was explaining stuff and sharing some silly jokes that she did with her friends. There. Fun. That's good memories. Yeah. Mm.
And so that was actually you ended up studying art history.
Exactly. Yeah. That's I would say like funny story. I don't know if it's funny, but I used to study law, okay, like for 2 years because I was thinking, okay, maybe I want to be a lawyer, maybe I want to be a judge, That's something that everyone does, and like I'm like everyone, So okay, let's go and like learn a bit of law, but actually it wasn't for me like at all. And I was like, okay, what's my passion? Like it's art. I want to work in art. I want to with art, whatever. I want to do something with it, So follow your gut and go there. So I quit it like low. My mom was okay, is it a good idea? I don't know, like it's kind of difficult to have some money when you're studying art. So well, okay, I went there, I studied, and it was, I think, the best years of my life. I mean, learning about art, learning about everything around art, because, like, it's not only about paintings, sculptures, ceramics, or whatsoever, architecture. It's everything around it, like politics, country, I don't know, maybe illness around happening, in Europe or in the world at this time, geopolitics, geoeconomics, it's amazing. You learn so much when you're studying art.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it was an incredible opportunity to learn, and it must have been fascinating. Was there any particular classes or interests that you had within that degree? Like, what really stood out to you? You had mentioned I think 18th century art as being
Mm.
really impactful for you. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really impactful. That's what we call like I don't have the word in English, but we call that the Rococo, style, Rococo style. Maybe it's the same,
Huh.
I think. Like this year, this century, like the 18th, like where everything like changed a bit. It was elegant, it was frivolity, like people were more superficial, instead of being like super rational, like painting, I would say kings, queens, flowers, portraits. No, like we're painting like now like life, people's life.
Hmm.
So everything changed there, like also sex scenes as well. That's something that was like a bit surprising, for people at this time. So I studied like that a lot. I did some research, a master in research in it, that I presented, at the Sorbonne. So that's something that I really liked. And also, there is another period I did not talk to you about with Henri Matisse, which is a French painter that I love as well too. Was like in a 20th century, if I may say. For me, it's more craziness, you know colors that stood out, like paintings like a bit like Picasso style,
Yeah.
close to some stuff a bit like different. The chair is not really a chair, the floor the is not really the floor, this kind of stuff. And that's amazing. He painted like famous girls named les danseuses, and you can see like in it the movement. That's something special. And I think, again, that's for me, I think that art is really something where you follow your instinct when you want to paint. It's not something now like how it used to be, where you need to like to reproduce at the beginning. But 18th century and such as Henri Matisse, it's like all coming from the guts. Like, okay, let's try something new, let's innovate.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. It sounds really fascinating. And so who were your favorite artists?
I would say Henri Matisse.
Okay.
I love. And there is one, like, I completely forget his name. Actually, he's American. No, he's not American, but he's in New York at the moment. It's Mondrian.
Okay. Nice.
Mondrian. I don't know if you're knowing, but he is at the moment, like, and that's something I used to do, not now a lot, but traveling, in specific countries to go and see museums. That's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, it sounds well. I living in Europe is just such an incredible opportunity, right? Because there's just
Yeah.
so much art and history. Have
Mm.
you traveled to a lot of different countries to go to different museums and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
yeah.
I did a lot. There was something called in the 18th century, actually called the Grand Tour, which was like traveling for the young boys, from like English families, like well-raised English families, during the what we call the Grand Tour. So they were traveling to Greece, to Italy, to France, like many many countries to discover, the art, and discover a bit themselves, apart from their family. And that's something I did, traveling to these countries as well, not in the same mindset, but to discover, art and culture, because I think that you cannot stay in your own culture. You have to discover, to grow and learn a bit. So yeah, I
Yeah.
did actually travel a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like, it's interesting. I'm speaking with a lot of talent acquisition leaders and folks that are in our space, right? Working for really fast growing competitive organizations. And there's so many folks that um, grew up in like multicultural environments, or really value learning and are curious about different cultures that have studied art history or cultural studies or something that is in a similar kind of cultural, there's like a cultural dynamic to
Mm.
what they've studied, which is pretty cool. It's interesting to see the parallels. And now it's like I've spoken with so many people in talent acquisition, and so many of them they're very passionate about traveling, learning about different cultures. It's sort of a common theme that I'm seeing across a lot of leaders.
Mm.
Um, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Well, yeah.
think
Oh, good.
sorry. No, no, no.
No,
I
no.
was just about to say, like, it's super helpful as well because, I mean, on a daily basis, we're talking with different people with different backgrounds, different cultures,
Hmm.
and it's easier to adapt to the people, to the person in front of you when you know, like, a bit more than only what you have around you or only in front of you, I think, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Feel like, frankly, the like different degrees, it's interesting. You talked about like one of the topics that we're going to be talking about a lot today is you focus on trajectory versus resume. Like
Mm,
when you're like looking at evaluating talent. And it's I'm excited to talk more about that. And it has me thinking though, it has me thinking about like the types of degrees that folks get and why they get them. And
mm,
at least in the United States, I don't think it's necessarily like this as much as in Europe. You can tell me. But there's this big emphasis in the United States for people to get like business degrees.
hmm.
So like business administration, marketing, finance, accounting, maybe data analytics is under the
Mm,
business school sometimes, like not like data science, but like data analytics. And it's just sort of interesting. Like, I think, of course, there are value in those degrees, but frankly, unless you do want to become an accountant, right? Or like a CFO, okay, I get the desire to have an undergrad in business. Otherwise, I feel like there's just other degrees that are way more valuable. Frankly, I
um,
feel like art history is way more valuable, cultural studies, anything related to like anthropology, anything related to philosophy. Um, are just so incredibly valuable as well. And
mm,
I think it's interesting when I look at like a resume. Like I'm always fascinated when I get to come across a candidate who took a slightly different path or had different interests outside of business, right? I always
definitely.
like to slow down and learn more there, right?
Mm. No, no, I fully agree with you. Like, I have like a not a typical trajectory, for someone who joined like talent acquisition. I used to study law. I moved to art. Then I was working as a clerk in an auction house. Then I was working in museums. Then I moved to TA because of we don't know what, like surprise, that came someone like, okay, maybe you need to try and see and go. And I tried, I loved it. So I'm the typical person, not with the typical background. So I think that I'm more open to different backgrounds rather than people having like degrees or perfect resumes. It's not on that I mean, if I may say that we have to judge people, if I say judge. But yeah, I think that's something completely. We have to be open minded about people, not on our daily life, and personal life, but when you're recruiting, I think it's more okay, which was this person pass, and what did he do, what did he learn, and why did he change there, or why did he quit, or whatsoever, rather
Hmm.
than okay, he stayed for 3 years there. Okay, so that's perfect. And 2 years there, I mean, who cares? Like, I think
Yeah.
that's important, to get and understand the trajectory of someone rather than
Yeah.
only his
Well,
resume.
it's I just find it really interesting because it's like, for instance, like with your background, right? Like you studied art history, and there's a story there. So it's like, if I was learning about you professionally, it's like, oh, cool. So you got into art history. How did that come about? And then you say, well, I was studying law, and then I transitioned art history. And for everyone tuning in too, could you tell us more about that? Because you talked about like your intuition and that being a driving force. So I'd love to hear more about it because that in and of itself, like this is a perfect example. It's like, oh wow, there's something really interesting. There's an interesting story here. There's an interesting
Mm,
perspective here, right? And I love
yeah.
that. Like those are the types of folks that I really want to work with because
Mm,
there's that level of introspection and thought toward making a
mm,
pivot and doing something like that that I think is really
yeah.
cool. So, but
Mm,
you mentioned it was like it was following your intuition, right? Like that was
yeah.
the primary driver. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I was studying law and I was like, there is something off. It's maybe not for me. Maybe
Yeah.
it's been 2 years, but I'm not happy. Something's missing. And I want to be happy in life, as everyone, I think. So I was okay. What's my passion? It's art, you know? What can I do with it? I don't know. But I know that's something I want to study, that's something I want to do. So I was like, okay, that's your instinct. Your gut is saying like, okay, go and study history of art. So I was okay, let's go, let's give it a try. You never know, and we see how it goes. And I mean, it was like the best years of my life, as I said earlier, learning a lot. I learned also on a personal level that trusting my gut was great for me, good intuition there. And today, if I did not quit, I would say like low to move to history of art. If I didn't work as a clerk and in a museum, I wouldn't be there at all.
Yeah.
You know. So my intuition and my gut like led us to this conversation. That's something amazing because I wasn't supposed to do that at all. And because I was like not bored is not the good word. But because I was like unhappy, I would say like because
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
true, unhappy about working, for museums, that I decided to switch. And actually, if you want the full story, my godmother, she's a headhunter, and she was like, okay, you have to go and do an assessment to see what you're gonna do next, because you cannot be like, okay, I don't like what I'm doing now, I'm unhappy, and I'm gonna do something else. You need like a plan, like it's all about plans. And I was okay, but let's do this and try. So I went to an assessment in a firm, in a headhunting firm. And they was like, okay, did you think about doing headhunting? I was nope. And they were like, okay, you have to do this. This is for you. We don't have any openings right now, but this is what you need to focus, and this is what you need to find as a job. You have to do that. I was okay, ma, I'll give it a try. And they called me like a week later saying like, okay, if we open a job for you, are you willing to join us? Because like we believe that's made for you. And I was okay, let's go. And this is how my journey started, like trusting my gut led me to something like that. I'm super happy. And today I'm not imagining like a day without recruitment, being a TA, having a talk with different people on a daily basis, getting to know them, their story, their background. And they teach me like a lot, they taught me a
Yeah.
lot. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
It's really cool. That's why I love doing like this podcast too. Being in talent acquisition, it's like it's a people business, and
mm.
it's all about people. So it's nice being able to like, connect with like-minded folks and learn from other people, and slow down and kind of remember why we're here,
Yeah.
and what we
Mhm.
love about it. So I agree. How does intuition show up in how you hire today? Like,
Mm,
how much do you really trust your gut in hiring? Because
mm,
I, I feel like I've come full circle on this, like my perspective on this topic. I'm curious to learn from you. Like, how much do you really trust your gut?
mm. I would say 100% today. Like
I love it.
really, 100%. And why? That's a good question. I would say I've learned a lot. I've done some mistakes, and it's okay. That's how like you learn. But sometimes because I have not like listened to my gut, I made some mistakes.
Yeah.
And maybe I can share one. Like I don't know if people want to hear that, but I think I mean, it's okay, to share your mistakes too. We hired someone, like I think it was in marketing, like a growth lead or whatsoever, and like it was like the perfect guy during the interviews. Like the business case was amazing, and strong background, a really good storyteller, and everyone was aligned. But my gut were like something felt off, and sometimes I cannot explain it. I know something is off. I cannot like point it out, but I know something is off. So what I did, I ignored it, and I completely like followed group validation, like 100%. And what happened next? Obviously, there was an important position that we had to fill. So 2 months later, we had to get rid of the person. because it wasn't like the fit. It was smart, but not deep. And it didn't have any ownership. And what was the cost of this? Money, velocity, and team energy, And when I'm thinking about this person, like right now in the interview, like I'm always thinking about it, sometimes when I need to do some introspection, like, okay, stop, focus, think about what you missed there and why didn't you listen to yourself? Because I didn't believe in myself at the moment, you know, like switch of career, woman in tech. That's sometimes, it can be like harsh and complicated. And I was like, okay, no. And now, like, I'm pretty much like 100% sure of myself. I do believe in myself. And now I'm like, if there is a doubt, there is no doubt. Okay, that's completely something that I have in mind. And so now, like, my gut is, I would say, maybe a way of hiring, not a way of living, but a way of hiring for me. And I can give you like another example, a counter one, like something I did well about it. We like at the company where I'm working at, we hired like, I joined like more than 2 years ago. So 2 years ago when I started, a developer, not the flashy one, but what I saw in him that the rest of the team didn't saw was like this guy like was really thinking versus the performing. He was structured in his reasoning and like had a lot of curiosity like for the tech, but also for the business.
Hmm.
Okay. But I mean, as some tech can be sometimes, he was like really shy, so he didn't show like the best version of himself. So they were like, it's gonna be complicated to communicate with him. So how we gonna do this kind of stuff? And it
Yeah.
was like, look, guys, trust me, like go for it. So I pushed for him, like I pushed like go go go, and the outcome now is the best engineer that we have in the team.
That's awesome.
So I mean that's a great story, like to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I would say today that's the perfect sentence that I've shared with you and that you said earlier, like our recruit trajectories, not resumes. That's something, I mean, that I do, and I will always advocate and advise people like trust your guts. If
Yeah.
there is something, go for it. Listen to yourself. And if you need a moment, just take 5 minutes, focus, and listen to what you're feeling. And even if you're not sure, I'm lucky enough, I can share a lot with my manager. She's the chief of staff. So she has a lot on her plate. But though, I mean, like, she always listened to me. And now, like, when we have to hire someone, if I'm not in the process because of any reason, she's always like, okay, can you meet the person? Can you go and watch the recording and give your advice? What do you think of this person? And I don't want like to, what we say like in French is somebody they feel, meaning like send myself some flowers, and saying like that I'm perfect. But each person that we've recruited that I wasn't involved in the process with the company like for the last 2 years, we had to end them. And I mean, because they weren't a fit. I'm not saying that 100% of my recruitment, stayed, but mainly like
Yeah.
95, whatsoever. But that's only numbers. But yeah, I mean, trust yourself. No one knows better than yourself.
Do you feel like it's like what your when your gut's telling you something's off? Do you feel like it's usually something feels off with like the behavioral fit,
Mm,
or did you, or is it like what? I'm just like I'm curious in what ways like when you see
mm.
when your gut feels like something's off and then somebody doesn't work out, like are there any common traits or things that happen that you've been able to uncover?
Ego.
Ego?
Yeah, I
That's a
would say
big one.
like I would go for ego, but I mean no, like when I'm having a talk with people and interviewing with them, um, I talk with them, but I'm also looking at them, you know, the way they move, the way they smile, the way they use their hands to speak, whatsoever, and that's also signals, that you can use and where you can get to know someone. But I would say sometimes, like always, you have to read through people because during an interview, you're always giving like the best version of yourself. You want to shine. and that's
Sure.
normal. I would say like reading through people and the ego coming in when you have like I'm the kind of person who prefers someone with a low ego, maybe because I'm this person,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's nice as well, to have some ego and to be like that. Not no ego, but low ego.
Sure.
And someone when you are sometimes, sorry, when you have too much, your behavior with teammates, your behaviors with clients or with whoever you want, it shows. And that's not something like you cannot do because I mean like you're representing like a part of the company whatsoever when your team like is relying on you as well, but you're not nice to them because of your ego. I mean, no, that's not for us. I would say like that right now. Sometimes you need this on some position like a big strong ego, and it's okay, but not always, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also like a difference between, I mean, I don't know if you is if confidence and ego are exactly the same thing. I mean, maybe there's like a healthy level of
Mm.
ego. I don't know. I mean, those are two different concepts sort of, but like having a being well grounded and having confidence is important.
Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, the ego or what I like, I don't know in France if you guys use the term arrogance, is that a
Yeah.
you guys
Arrogant.
that's
Yeah, we
yeah,
do. Mm.
that's the avoiding
Mm.
that. It's like the big ego or arrogant. That's the it's like
Mm.
one of the least attractive kind of behavioral traits to work with, to be
Oh
on that
yeah.
same team, you know?
Yeah, and especially, I think that in sales,
Yeah.
that's where you see the most. And sometimes, like, oh, why? How? Like you cannot be
Yeah.
like that. You cannot behave like that.
Right.
But I mean, some people does, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's always tough, like with the salesperson, because every once in a while too, you'll get like a really strong seller
Mm.
who like their personality is just challenging, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, more times than not, I'm just like, look, I don't care how much you can, like, I'm not dealing with all that.
Mm.
Like, because we can find people there, you can, just hold out, find the person who's easy to work with, because that's important too. It's not just about our ability to execute in our own lane, but particularly for scale ups, like, fast growing
Mm.
companies, it's
Yeah.
expanding. You need to be
Mm.
collaborative. You
Yeah.
can't.
And it's
uh,
complicated, like for me, for example, working for like recruiting like in Europe versus recruiting in the US, it's completely different. It's
yeah.
like it's not the same, people are not the same, interview are not the same at all.
Yeah.
Also, like what you have the maybe if you have a plan or some questions or some stuff like that, sometimes I have some, but in the US it's not at all, like in France mainly. And when I was like interviewing like salespeople, I was under the impression that they were all like the best, you know,
The
top
US,
sellers,
with the US
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
the US people know how to sell themselves, and like it's that is a
wow,
thing you have to like.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have to learn from them,
Right.
definitely
Yeah.
from you guys,
You're like,
like,
wow, this is the best salesperson I spoke with. Yeah. No, they know how to sell themselves in interviews very,
yeah,
very, because I've recruited internationally as well. And even like the vocabulary like that Americans will use in interviews,
exactly.
like they use like really big, like
Big
over
names,
the top language, like
yeah,
everything is
yeah.
incredible or extraordinary or everything is just the max, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, how am I going to do that if everyone is the best, like selling themselves like no one else, And I mean, I came out like with one question, okay, so you're the best, you achieved like this and that. Did you make like President Club this year or last year? And they were like, PC? Oh no, but because so okay, you're not the best, If you didn't make
Right,
it,
right.
you're
But
the
they're
best.
they're they're counter. They're so good at objection handling. Well, no, because of X,
Yeah,
Y, and Z and da 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 da. Yeah. It's
exactly.
I like yeah, when I was doing a lot of like hands-on like recruiting GTM, I would just I because that was a challenge that I mean, I started I don't know if I told you, I own an embedded recruiting and RPO firm in the tech industry. So
Okay, cool.
I've my company has we've helped over 200 tech companies scale, like
Mhm.
GTM technical teams internationally, like you name it. And the what I would end up doing with a lot of the GTM talent, the sales talent, is I would ask them like 100 questions about their numbers, like inside and out, to really understand their quotas and their performance. And then I would ask, so at the end of the process, when we check your references, just so you know, I need references from previous direct managers. And,
Hmm.
then I would just say, so like at your previous employer, would your direct manager be able to confirm the numbers that we discussed? Like, would they be able to do that? And then you hear the, oh wait, well, no, I don't know if they're still there. I don't know where they are anymore. They may not even be on this continent. I think they moved to like Australia. You start to get that kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, well,
Next.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Right now, you're working for a pretty fast-growing company that's expanding internationally, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's like, tell me about 2026. What are you working on?
Ooh. I mean, like 2025 was crazy. Okay, so to give you a bit of context, we're like 100% bootstrapped as well. So it explained that I have many liberties as well that I would not have, with a board or whatsoever or things to follow. So that's super cool.
That is
So
cool.
well, 2025 was crazy. We hired more than 90 people. Yeah, yeah. And I did 85 on my own. So it was like, yeah,
85 hires on your own?
yeah.
What
Like
kind
it
of
was
hires were these?
like tiring year for
What
me.
what types of roles did you how did you do that? That's incredible.
Ooh, marketing, sales, like all GTM tech. I worked hard, like really hard, because I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but I don't have like many trust in hiring firms because I come from one, so I know how it works.
Yeah, you're like you've worked at a restaurant, you're like, you know what
Yeah,
happens. Like,
exactly. I know the tricks of it. So yeah, I did that mainly on my own, and I recruited someone to join my team as well. Okay,
Mm.
so like he joined, I think in June or July, but it was like super helpful for me, to have someone into on board, and maybe he's more on the tech side now
Nice.
of it, because our stack is a bit particular. But yeah, and this year, so now 2026 is like not as many hires as last year, or maybe, we never know. But we have like I would say 40 to 50 jobs, in mind. It's all again GTM and tech. Plus, we're expanding in the US. So maybe if someone is listening to the podcast, I'm looking for a GTM in the US and for some sales as well, but not crazy sales, please. Again, regular ones. But yeah, it's super cool because we also acquired a company that joined us. I mean, like it's Clap. I mean, if I can explain two words, it's a recorder for sales whatsoever with AI integrated. So I'm using it on a daily basis, and that's time saving as well. I'm not a huge fan, I'm going back there, but of AI in recruitment. I'm using it a lot, but when it's needed, not
Sure.
like crazy,
Appropriately.
like
Yeah.
reading resumes or this kind of stuff. No, I prefer to do it my way. Maybe it takes more times, but I prefer, like to be transparent with candidates, like I'm working on it. I'm working on you and for you guys. So yeah, sorry. Going back, we acquired Clap, so it's helping me, recording, having a bit of AI, resuming the interviews. So it's nice. So I won't say it's double of work, but as they are scaling as well, because they had like only a year of existence when we acquired them, maybe more recruitment for them to come too. We hired, for example, their first marketer last week. So yeah, it's gonna be, I think, not as crazy as last year was,
Yeah.
but still, it's gonna be crazy. And what we do, like at Lemlist, we have a way of recruiting, which is not like, I mean, everyone wants the best. That's for sure. No one wants B players, definitely. But we want like only A players as everyone. So we have to, I would say, hustle for them, So we want like some people who creates like for me like clarity, someone who moves fast, someone who solves problems directly, someone who takes feedback like instantly and apply them. Feedback, that's something that we can talk about too if you want. I'm such a huge fan of feedback. I think that's the best thing ever. Don't keep something from yourself, just share. There is a way to share some feedback with someone, but please do it. If you can correct something right now, that's even better. So, yeah, feedback really important for us. And someone who hates wasting time, I would say. Why am I saying that? Because right now it's difficult. I don't know, like in the US, but in Europe, we've seen that the market is slightly different from it was. There was like more candidates and less job offers, and less job offer and more candidates, and now like it's kind of complicated with candidates. I think like in Europe, like when you want someone really really good, if I may say. So that's something that we're looking for, and we do like recruit and A players. And how do we see ourselves, at Lemlist as athletes?
Hmm.
I would say like not competing or whatsoever, but athletes, you're always, always, always in a run, always training, always learning, always doing something, always improving yourself, always teaching to someone or learning from someone. And that's something that I really appreciate, about the company, is that I learn a lot from people. For example, like there is a trend right now with cloud co-work. I think that everyone knows about it, and yes, I'm using a bit of AI, but it's not, where I'm the best at. So I asked a product manager who's like on top of it, like, can you talk to me a bit about it? Can you show me? Can you teach me? How can I improve my work with it? And that's something as well, super cool, being
Yeah.
able to have some people around you teaching you some stuff. And that's something I love about the company. So yeah, for 2026, I definitely want to hire some people who can teach me some stuff and the team as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you guys you're building a really cool culture. I still find it's like incredible that you hire that many people for like a scale up tech company to hit that type of volume.
Hmm.
Okay, can you help me? How can you share about more about how you actually like, let's get a little more tactical. How
Hmm.
did you manage that type of rec load? Like,
Hmm.
I just don't, because you have to review all of the inbounds, you got to schedule all of the people, you got to do all of the screenings, you have to do all the hiring manager intakes, feedback calls, offer negotiations. I mean, like, do you have any other recruiters on your team that were supporting, or were you
Hmm.
literally like doing all of it?
Yeah, I was like mainly the only one, and
That's incredible.
my teammate joined me, as I said, like in June, but
Yeah.
only on the tech part. So the time to onboard him, and whatever, it was like he started working in September. I found working mainly. He was working, but he worked like he was fully onboarded in September.
Hmm.
A lot of work, I would say. Don't count your hours. I mean, you have to like your job, and to believe in the company. And I do believe in Lemlist. Like, if I didn't, I wouldn't have done that, because sometimes, you have to be like, okay, that's my personal life. Okay, that's gonna be apart for a while because I need to focus and hire more and more, and a lot of automatization. Definitely, I'm using an ITS, like if I may name it, called Ashby, who's helping me like a lot with automatization. Plus something that I did, and I'm like really proud of that. I taught hiring manager how to be autonomous. Like, I'm not running after you, like, guys. No, like,
Yeah.
you need to do your job. That's your job. Like, I'm here to coordinate the recruitment, but not to hire the people. That's your job. That's for your team, guys. So, like, 48 hours max to answer to a candidate, ref check for every recruitment to make sure that we're not mistaking. If you need anything, you just ping me, and we had to recruit like in Europe and in the US, so different time zones as well, so you have to organize everything between people, too. So sometimes like you start working at say at 8 and you end at I would say like 11 p.m., and you're like, ooh, it's
Yeah,
it's a lot,
that's a lot.
But yeah, but now I'm taking a step back, having a look at the team. Last year we went like every year we are going on a team building. Last year we went to Spain in Tenerife, and we had like a talk with everyone, and our CEO Charles were like, okay, people were hired in 2023. Please stand up. 2024, blah blah blah. And I joined so 2 years ago. And when I saw like people standing, it was like the three-quarter of the people, of the company was like, wow, I did that myself,
Yeah, yeah, it's
and
pretty cool, right?
yeah, that's super cool, and the company is growing because without recruitment, like the company cannot grow,
Yeah.
and
Well, when you're
and
hiring 80, 85 people a year, I hope you're good with names.
yeah,
Because you're like, everybody's walking up to you and you're just like, oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm like, that's amazing to see that.
yeah,
And people are happy, people are proud to be part of the company as well,
yeah, for sure.
So we're all on the same path to achieve something great. And I really like that. And I think that's something who helped me through like the hard time because recruitment, we know that it's ups and down,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and when you have to recruit like a lot, sometimes you're tired, but when you remember why you're doing it and for who, because I mean, like your leaders, they have to show you the way, and I'm like, okay, okay, it's okay. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. Okay, perfect. Let's go. Let's do this, And I'm lucky enough to be in a company where I can like organize myself. So my work life balance, I can like, if I want, I can start at, I would say like noon if I want and go to the gym before, you
Yeah,
know. If it's better for my health and for my balance, I can do that. And I think that helped me a lot.
the flexibility. Yeah, yeah, for
Mm.
sure. Nice. And so, one things that you shared with me for our recording that I would love to
Mm.
cover with you is just there's some takeaways essentially that you have, like some things that you care about as it pertains to recruiting and building companies. And you shared four different kind of phrases, if you will, with me. And the first one you shared is alignment over talent. Could you
Mm.
talk to us about what that means?
Yeah. I think that when you're joining a company, you're joining a team, you're joining a manager, uh, definitely you have some talent. If you're like in the process, if you're there, there is a reason. When out there is a job for you. But I'm a strong believer that you need to be more aligned with the mission, of the company, the mission of your team, your mission, rather than being someone just only talented. I believe that you cannot teach someone to be aligned with what you think. It's personal, it's personal belief. Talent you can teach people, and it's like to learn stuff. And being aligned for me is more important than being talented. Definitely.
It's like being that good team player, right?
Yeah,
As
I
well.
mean, like I would say, like obviously team player, but understanding the business, the fact that we're in a scale up where everything moves fast, really fast, and you have to adapt to adjust yourself. And I won't be there like holding your hand and be okay. So you need to do this and that. No, you know what you have to do, so go for it. And that's a funny stuff, like when I have like feedback about the interviews that I'm doing with some people, when they join the company, I'm always asking, okay, or maybe as well, by mail, but like give me some feedback, share some feedback about like the interview. Was it good enough? Was it easy? Was it hard? Share something with me. and people are like, you're always like pushing people back, you know, like, don't come to the company, don't join if this or that, if you're this kind of person, don't come, don't join. And I'm always looking for the alignment, and that's something now that's in me, you know, and that will always advocate for. Be aligned with us, you're going to be successful, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. And then there's a few other ones that I wanted to talk to you about. You also talked about this one, and I think this also gets back to how you think about interviewing and like focusing on trajectory versus resume. But you talk about depth over polish as being one of your core takeaways in terms of how you think about hiring as well, right?
Mm, yeah. I think that's something, you know, like important as well. uh how can I be nice saying that? Like being polished, like, it's not what we want today. We want someone deep, we want someone who goes in depth, you know,
Yeah.
of what he's doing. Someone, again, who does something with his gut, you know, going back again to the gut feeling. Not to be like, everything doesn't have to be perfect in a shiny world, you know. When I'm actually, again, in interviewing people, I'm always asking them about their mistakes, a time they failed, what they
Yeah.
learned from it. That's something I want to know. That's
Yeah.
something I want them to share with me.
I think
That's
like the other aspect of that, or when I hear depth over polish, or what it reminds me of is like when I'm interviewing people, probably particularly maybe even it's more of an American thing when it comes to like salespeople, but there's like the pre-recorded responses, where it's like people are just sort of
fine.
their interview track, and that's I'm pretty intentional about asking questions that I know they haven't heard before because
Mm,
I try to get them out of that like autopilot and into critical thinking
yeah.
with me. So I do ask questions that their responses usually or hopefully, oh, that's a good question, or there's that pause of like they're really thinking because it throws them off track. Not like I'm not intentionally trying to throw people off track, but I am,
Yeah,
but
no,
I'm
no,
not. I'm
I
not
get
trying
what
to
you're saying.
trick them, but I'm
Mm,
trying to get them off the
mm,
autopilot track, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Because that's
No,
where I
no,
try to find out if there's depth there. Like, because anybody
yeah.
can sound good if they say the same thing 20 times in a row. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. I fully agree with you. Like, we don't want to throw people off the cliff. We want them like to actually to think, you know,
right.
and to be like truthful, like maybe even to themselves. And make me think of something. I don't know if you've witnessed that yet, or someone around you, or TA, of if we you talked about it, but something like really crazy happened to me. I was, I mean, interviewing a candidate, you know, and she was having a tool, you know, listening to me and typing all of the answers for her. And she was like only reading the answer. Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
know? Or you could just
I,
tell.
I could tell the eyes, you know, and at the end I asked, because I was like, what's happening? You know, like,
This is
and
weird.
she was like,
Yeah.
can you give me 2 minutes, please? I need to think. And sometimes she was typing and I was like, am I going crazy? Something is going on there, you know?
That's so weird. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. That's was insane. I remember inside sales in Colombia. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
Right.
So I'll do like, because I'm hiring a lot right now. Well, obviously for my customers, we're always hiring, but
Yeah.
also we're hiring internal recruiters. And so because we do something a little different, because we have like an embedded model, so we like our recruiters essentially operate as if they were our customers' internal recruiters. So
Mm-hmm.
they're really fully embedded within a customer organization. And so we have to recruit like great senior recruiters who are really highly qualified. They're not just like pushing volume, top of funnel
Mm.
resumes, stuff
I
like
know.
that. It's not like
Mm.
traditional agency. And so I have to ask them questions like I take it in like a different direction. Like I'll talk to a recruiter and I'll like one of my questions I'll ask them questions that they haven't received before because like I just want to get a sense for their critical thinking and behavioral skill set. And it's stuff that I feel like they probably couldn't type into AI. I'll just be like, hey, look, like if you were promoted into the head of your department tomorrow, or sometimes like CEO of the company tomorrow, what would you double down on? What's working? What would you change and why? And
Mm,
because I want to think about like how they think critically, how self-aware they are of like their role within the company. Like I really try to get a sense that I focus on the strategic critical thinking of their, ability
mm,
to distinguish
mm.
opportunities and challenges and these types of things. And it's again, it's kind of cool to see people like, oh, wait a second, like I really gotta I have to think about this. You, you know.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And you talked about something that's I think that's for me it's really important, in recruitment. You talked about quantity, like people being like pushing and doing a lot of quantity. But I think really like quality is so much better than quantity. Like definitely,
Yeah, but all of the tools, everything
wow.
that's coming out is pushing volume right now. Like
Yeah.
more volume, more candidates, more
Mm.
messaging, more
Or
outreach, more
everything.
yeah. It's like
Calm down.
everybody wants quality, but it's like everything that we're trying to solve for is like we getting like is just volume. Is volume. It's
Yeah.
just it's like that's where everybody's heads like, well, if we have more and more volume, we'll get more quality. It's like, well, no, it's like you just have to go deeper, as you said, like with
Mm.
people.
Yeah, we need to go like deeper with people.
Yeah. You also talked about like ownership over comfort.
Yeah.
Explain to us
Mm.
what you mean by or, over ownership over comfort.
Mm. I mean, on your work, don't stay comfortable. Like, oh, okay, like I can do this. Okay, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna stop there. If you can go deeper
Yeah.
and own something, on a subject on your own, like, okay, I want to create a pipeline of whatsoever candidates without using AI, or I want to build something with AI. Go for it. Just don't be comfortable in your work. It's not gonna bring you anything. I think, in my opinion, push more, always aim higher. That's something that I'm meaning when you need to own rather than staying comfort, when having your own comfort. Have some targets, some goals for yourself.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna learn the most.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, yeah, it's like finding people that are okay with being uncomfortable and stretching and not growing
Mm,
complacent.
yeah. Mm,
That's huge, particularly for operating in startup scale ups, right?
yeah. Mm. I
And
mean,
the other one that you shared, like your fourth like key takeaway was like holding high standards without losing humanity.
yeah. Oof.
That's a pretty good one.
Wow. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, what's happening to humanity?
Yeah.
Something is going on. Like people can be really disrespectful. And still you have to keep like high standards. You're the face of the company, actually. You're the first person that people are seeing. You're the first impression they're gonna have of the company. I'm always saying I cannot show up with a bun in my hoodie or whatsoever. So people are taking time to interview, to talk with me, and to meet with the company. So I have to do the same for them. But sometimes it's so complicated. Like sometimes I have found sometime. One time I had a guy who showed up with no shirt,
What?
no shirt on, no shirt on, no
Come
shirt on,
on.
and I was like, okay, can you go grab a tea or whatever, hoodie? Like I don't mind, but please do something. And that's something I was like, okay, that's weird. That's super weird. Or
Did you
people,
start to lose faith in humanity at that moment?
exactly. You're like, okay, come on, no, don't do that. What I'm gonna expect for the next call to happen. But yeah, I mean, like high standards, it's super important because I mean, first person they talk to, and you want to sometimes like for people, and mainly we talked about that a bit earlier, but about resumes and this kind of stuff of person who don't have like the perfect trajectories and perfect and have like what whatsoever they've done in their life when they teach themselves how to do something. Sometimes this first call can mean a lot more than with someone with a perfect resume. Like, okay, they do believe in me, they saw something in me. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm like, I think that I owe them being not perfect for them, because no one is perfect, and actually I'm definitely not perfect. But I owe them like having standards, and rather than being like okay, just having losing faith in humanity and in candidates, no shows sometimes when you have like a complicated day, when many interviews, like no shows, or candidates like talking like harsh to you, or this kind of stuff. I'm like, why am I doing this work? And after that, I have an amazing person. So
Yeah.
that's that the perks of working in recruitment.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely ups and downs as well, right?
Yeah,
So it can be messy. It can be a little
yeah,
messy being a people business.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, so I mean, like at this point in your life, you've had a lot of different experiences, and you've been in talent acquisition now at this specific company for a few years, helping them scale very aggressively with a very lean team, it sounds like, which is
Mm,
really impressive. I'm curious to get a sense at this point in your career, or like in life, right? Like, do you feel like your definition of success has started to evolve than maybe where it was at like the beginning of your career? Or how do you think about like your values and kind of what you're
mm,
focused on in terms of how you define success in the future?
mm. That's a really good one. That's a really good one because I was thinking about it like I think few days back. I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in France, we teach you that success when you're working is having a team, managing a team. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to be successful when I'll be managing, my own team, and I'll have a XYZ number of people working under me, but actually not at all. I think that now how I would define success is how is my impact defined, how I can impact my company, how am I helping them? And that's not something only managing or being able to, that's what can I do? And sometimes an IC can have like a much more important impact rather than a manager, like who's not like hands on at all. And I think that for me, success is also like sometimes you're able to take a step back and see what's wrong instead of pushing yourself into something. Just take a step back. Maybe you're going to be late for something, but it's okay. Just go and see how you can work on this and have a better impact for your company, for your team, and teach people as well. Share with them what you learned, and always teach them like the mistake that you've made so they won't make them too. I think that's how I would define success now. Definitely. Yeah.
And as you think toward the future, I'm curious to get a sense for how you want to continue to develop professionally as a person. I mean, maybe we could start just professionally. Like, what are some of those like milestones that or just values that you want to continue to embody? I mean, I was curious, like, how do you think about your progression at this point and what the next several years are going to look like?
Hmm. That's a good one. And like I had this introspection actually in December. We have our annual reviews, and so I'm always thinking, okay, what did I achieve last year, and what I want for myself in the next years.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure yet of what I want. I know that my mission for now, like a Lemlist, is not over. I had like some other job offers to work in other companies and to help them scale, but I think that my job there is not done. So there is some stuff that I still need to do. Um, do I want a bigger team? Is it something that I want? I'm not so sure. Definitely
Yeah,
because
right.
I love, like not working on my own, but having a smaller team also, sorry for saying that, but is less problems as well.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure. Oh, it's easier.
I
Yeah.
mean, so if
In certain ways, it's easier.
yeah,
You have
I'm
to work harder in other ways, but
exactly. I mean,
yeah,
if you're okay with the workload, I mean,
yeah.
it's definitely, but you have many more other advantages. So yeah, but what I want next, I'm pretty much sure that I want to keep building. I still want to be hands on, definitely, But I think that my next challenge would be like the first year, building from the ground. Because I arrived, at Lemlist, we were like already 30-ish,
Mhm.
so there was already some people there, but now I want to really like build something from the ground.
That's
I think
awesome.
that will be like my next step.
That's really cool.
Mm,
What about like holistically as a person? Like, how do you see yourself? Like, really important to you as a whole human being, not like just, talent acquisition lead, like, but
mm,
what is success going to look like, in terms of like who you want to become holistically, like career being part of that. But
mm,
just kind of curious,
mm,
just based on this part of your life and like where you are in your journey, like what type of
mm.
person are you striving to become now?
Yeah, a happy person, I would say. As everyone, like I wanna be happy, and I think that everyone wants that. But my job is teaching me to care also about others, and that's something I want to keep having, and being, someone who cares about people. And I've shared that with you too, but I want to be a mom, but it's kind of complicated for my husband and I, so we're like on a what we call fertility journey, so going on rounds and rounds of IVF. So I mean, biggest dream I would say is for that to happen, for us to be parents. So yeah, I would say like be a mom, and still care for people.
I love it. It's been really nice getting to know you and learning about your journey, and I just find your background fascinating, everywhere from like where you grew up to studying art history to your approach to talent acquisition, and frankly just like I love everything we were talking about, like trusting your gut and your intuition. I feel like a lot of folks, we kind of moved away from that because there's so much like skepticism out there about like, oh well, it can be wrong, it can be this and that.
Yeah,
And again, I've seen it both ways, and I think of course like we do need of course structured data, these types of things, and also like you have to trust your intuition, your gut, like, and I think that that's just incredibly important. And so I love that, and just everything about this conversation has been a lot of fun. And so I just wanted to
likewise.
say, I'm good.
Mm,
I'm glad you enjoyed it too, uh, because it's been great. And I just want to say thank you for joining us on the show today.
and thanks for having me. Like, I really enjoyed, and I wasn't expecting to have like to had so much fun. I mean, like,
Yes,
like we had a good laugh, so that's great. And again, thanks for having me, James.
for sure. And for everybody tuning in, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.